Yeah, now Cabinet Ministers have met to consider ways of clearing the names of hundreds of sub-postmasters who were wrongly convicted in an IT scandal. It was a computer fault mistakenly showed money was missing from their post offices, which led to many being jailed or left bankrupt.
So between 1999 and 2015, 700 branch managers were convicted, but fewer than 100 have had their convictions overturned or received full compensation. But it was an ITV drama last week that has really reignited this story. Ministers brought forward a meeting to discuss the matter off the back of all this public debate and conversation.
It's very good as well. Really good drama. Well worth watching. Let's speak to solicitor Michael Madden, who's representing 17 former sub-postmasters here in Northern Ireland. 3 only came forward last week. Michael, is that correct, after watching that TV show?
That's right. Yeah, I think the issue's been for people that it's just been very traumatic down the years of the processes that they've had to go through, and they've just found it very difficult to come forward. Even today, I had a woman ring me today who had been convicted, and this is really the first time that she's been able to bring herself forward to do anything about it. In fact, she knows of the programme, but just hasn't been able to bring herself to watch the programme because the trauma is still so raw with her.
And I know, I'm sure there's a degree of confidentiality with these conversations, but can you give us a reflection of the mood of, say, for example, that woman who you said was convicted, who has a criminal conviction? Is that because of this?
Yeah, the people that I've dealt with, the clients that I have, they're all remarkable people. They're very supportive of each other, and they're honest, hard-working people who anybody could have found themselves in the same position. And the mood at the minute is it's great now that there is this public interest in what's happened to them. The drama that was aired last week really has brought that to the fore, and they really welcome the reactions now that that people now really are starting to appreciate what happened to them. So some of the things people are now talking about is, the first thing is people want anybody who had any convictions to have them overturned. So that's very clearly what people want. The other things that they want to happen are compensation for what happened to them. And another thing that people are talking about now is ultimately to have prosecutions and to have senior people in post office face criminal prosecutions for what they put hundreds and hundreds of people through.
So you are representing, well, almost or in and around 20 sub-postmasters now in Northern Ireland. How many do you think there are in total who had faced conviction as part of this scandal?
Well, my understanding is in Northern Ireland there were 23 prosecutions, and out of the 23 prosecutions, 19 resulted in convictions. I'm representing 3 people who had convictions. I know there's another lady who I didn't represent, had a conviction overturned last year as well. So as far as I'm aware, only 3 cases have actually made it to court. 2 have been overturned so far. And that's out of 19 convictions.
So when you say that you're currently representing 17 former sub-postmasters in Northern Ireland, not all of them have been convicted?
No, the majority of people that I'm representing weren't convicted. They weren't prosecuted.
So what kind of compensation would they have access to? On what grounds?
Yeah, there's a number of different schemes. People who were falsely accused of having shortfalls in their post office. They've had then to pay that back. They were suspended. They went through the agony of having their post offices taken off them. So their reputations were destroyed. Many of these people worked in rural areas where the post office was the heart of the community. And people who then were accused of having shortfalls and losing their business, gossip starts. People think that these people are stealing money, stealing pensions from old people.
Court of public opinion.
Yeah. So even though they mightn't have convictions, their reputations have been destroyed, and they've actually had to physically pay back the money to the post office as well. So
thanks, Michael. Yeah, that's really helpful just to frame that, because it doesn't have to have been a conviction for there to have been a significant level of trauma. And I think trauma is probably a fair enough word when you see your life and livelihood and reputation in tatters because of this Horizon computer system. Look, Michael, we'll stay in touch with you over the next kind of days and weeks and see how this rolls out following that meeting of ministers today, because pressure mounting, of course, on getting these hundreds of sub-postmasters who were wrongly convicted to get those convictions overturned.